Hello students, welcome to JCE Connect Engineering Geology Lab 18 CVL 47. In today's lab, we are going to discuss about the study of topo sheets and its interpretation. So for your syllabus, a topo sheet will be given to you. You have to see the topo sheet and just you have to interpret that topo sheet. You have to extract the information from that topo sheet. So first let us understand what is a topo sheet. So you all have seen many types of maps, like few maps are meant for specific purpose, like geological map contains only about information about the geology. Then contour maps contain only the information of relief, that is height. So some maps are made for information of vegetation pattern. So based on that, there are different types of maps you might have seen. Or you have seen political maps wherein state borders and all are shown. So basically a map that shows the topographic features of the area, that is called as a topographic map or a topo sheet. So topographic map is a what? A map of small area drawn on a large scale depicting detailed surface features, both natural and man-made. So on a topo sheet, you can observe both the natural and the man-made features. So natural features like your rivers, then valley is represented with the help of contours. Similarly, the forest area, hills, okay, all these natural features, they are represented. And man-made features like your buildings, road, railway line networks, then even your reservoirs and all, they are all the man-made features, so they are also represented on the topo sheet. So what is a map? So map is basically a two-dimensional surface drawn on a flat paper or a sheet with length and breadth. So here it is a map is drawn with a perfect scale, that is with a perfect length and breadth. So all the physical and cultural features are shown on a map with the help of certain symbols. So they use certain symbols or conventional signs to represent the features on the topo sheet. So here is a topo sheet, how it looks, a brief picture of a topo sheet. Here you can see the topo sheet number is given. So here number is D43C5, that is the topo sheet number. Then here there is a grids are given. So this is a Karnataka and Maharashtra state border. In this there are 6 grids are there. From this is the grid which shows this particular map, which is enlarged here. So it is shown in the dark color here, and here the name is given, okay, name of the area is given. And this is the sign convention, that is how what all symbols are used on this map. So here it is given in the form of a index or sign convention. Then here the magnetic variation, then what is the scale given is 1 is to 50,000 of this map. Then all other, when it is surveyed, year of survey, all these information will be given in this bottom corner. Okay, now let us see, this is a topo sheet. So here you can see there are grids, those are nothing but the longitudes and latitudes shown on the map. Okay, so just brief out what all features you can see here on the map or a topo sheet. So here you can see there is a state border between Karnataka and Maharashtra. Then here you can see with the brown color squares, so those are nothing but the houses or the settlement area. So here wherever the small settlement areas, that all represents the small villages. Okay, then you can see the rivers. Okay, rivers flowing. Then this is a reservoir. Okay, so this is a Rockascope reservoir. Okay, so all these features. Then there is a variation in the color also. You can see major portion is shown with the light yellow color. So yellow color represents the cultivated land, green color represents the forest, reserved forest. Then there are some hills or barren lands. Then brown color lines, they represent the contours. Then here these black colors lines, they show the drainage pattern. Okay, so this black color lines, okay, very light color, they are all the drainage patterns, that is the river streams, streamlets which are joining the main river. So these all are shown on the map. So in detail we are going to discuss in the upcoming slides how we can represent all these features which are present on the map. So being a civil engineer, what is the need of this topo sheet? Studying topo sheet is whenever you go for any particular survey, so before going to the field, you must study a map which will give you a brief idea about the particular area, like where are the hills, okay, where is the valley, what all measures you can take before going for any particular construction activity. So before planning anything, it will give you, this particular map will give you a brief idea regarding what is present on the ground. So in this slide, you can see the sign conventions which are represented on a topo sheet. Like in previous topo sheet, I have shown you the index or sign convention. So that same portion I have added here. So roads, these are the different symbols for different types of roads. Unmetalled metalled roads, then roads with bridges, okay, cart track, footpaths, all these symbols are used here. Then for streams, that is rivers, okay, different symbols are used here. For canals, weir, dams, okay, Rockfill Dam, Masonry Dam, okay. So all these different types of symbols you can see. For rivers, for trees, what are the different varieties of trees, okay. Then what type of town or village it is. Then huts, for huts and all these type of symbols are used. Then to represent the heights, okay, triangular stations or points or approximate height is shown like this, okay. So like this you can see different sign conventions which are given on the map. So wherever you find any particular symbol, you can find very easily what is that symbol represents in the sign conventions given here on the map. So here you can see the contours also, right? Contours are always numbered, okay, so that number represents the height. So all these type of information is given here on the uh, left hand side of the sorry left hand side of the map. So here the sign conventions look like this. Then we'll move on to what is the meaning of scale, so which plays a very important role in case of any particular map. So a scale denotes the relationship between the length of a line on the map or a sheet or on a paper and the same length of that line on the ground. Or you can say it is defined as the ratio between the distance between the 2 points on the map, okay, and corresponding distance on the ground between the same 2 points, okay. So that is called as a scale. So large areas can be drawn on a small sheet of paper, with the help of a scale. Then scale helps us to know the distance on the map. Okay, so the ratio of a scale can be expressed in three ways. So you can see three types of scales on a map. Either it will be represented in the form of a verbal scale, that is in the form of a statement, like 1 centimeter equal to 250 kilometer, for example. Then, or it may be represented by a graphical scale like this. Okay, linear or graphical scale wherein the distance in the kilometer is given. Okay, 0, 5, 10 kilometers. Or it may be represented by a representative fraction, that is RF, like 1 is to 25 lakh, or 1 is to 50,000, whatever may be the scale which is used for that particular map. It will be given in this fashion, that is called as a RF, or representative fraction of that particular map. So this is about the scale of the map. Then next comes the grid reference. So this is also very important to understand our topo sheet. So on a map you can see the vertical lines as well as the horizontal lines. So these vertical lines, they are called as eastings because they are running towards east, and the horizontal lines, they are called as northings. And when these cross each other, that is eastings and northings, it forms a grid. So if you have seen the map of a globe or a map of India, just recall, you can see the grids. Okay, that is eastings and northings you can see on a any map. Okay, so that is the grid reference. So vertical lines, they are the uh, eastings, and horizontal lines, okay, they are the northings. Okay, so grid reference is what? For a four figure grid reference, it consists of 4 digits. So first 2 digits are representing the eastings, and last 2 digits, they represent the northing. So on some maps it will be given, suppose for example 2530 means, or 2580 means, 25 is the easting and 80 is the northing. So like that, uh, the information will be given. So the eastward lines or the vertical lines which are drawn on the survey sheet, they are called as eastings, and the northward lines or horizontal lines drawn on a survey sheet, they are called as northings. A network of both these lines, that is eastings and northings, that forms a number of squares, and those squares are called as the grids. So eastings are always quoted first and then the northings. So you have to remember, always you have to write easting first and then northing. So let us understand what is the meaning of extent of map, which is nothing but the latitudes and longitudes. So the lines of longitudes, they are called as meridians. Okay, so these meridians or the longitudes, they are the imaginary lines. Okay, or they are semicircles which are drawn on a earth's surface in north or south direction. Okay, so these are the lines, okay, which are imaginary lines or the semicircles which are drawn on the earth's surface. And the word meridian, which is being derived from the Latin word meaning midday, so center, it will be a meridian. Then earth's circumference, it consists of 360 degrees. So this we all know, so we can draw 360 degree longitudes, and there are 180 degree of longitude towards east, or east longitudes, they are called as east longitudes, and 180 towards the west. Okay, or they are called as west longitudes. So 180 degree is a common for east, or it may be a west. So each degree of longitude cuts the latitude at right angle, that is 90 degree. So this is how the longitudes are shown. So 180 towards east, so they are called as east longitudes, and 180 towards west, so they are west longitudes. Okay, then comes the latitudes. So these lines of latitudes are, again, they are imaginary lines or circles which are drawn round the earth parallel to the equator. That is, these are horizontal lines. So the parallels of the latitude is an imaginary circle which is drawn east or west on the surface of the earth. So the circles of latitude that divides the earth into two hemisphere and is exactly at equal distance from the pole and the equator. So because of these latitudes, that is the center line, that is equator line, we divide the earth into northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. So other circles of the latitude are drawn to the north or to the south, but they are parallel to this circle, that is the equator. So as the earth is a sphere, the angular distance from the equator to the pole is 90 degree. So we have 90 degree of latitude from equator to north pole. Similarly, in the northern hemisphere, and similarly 90 degree of the latitude from equator to south pole. So in the southern hemisphere, so 90 degree on either side. So all the degree of latitudes are the circle except the poles, which are just the points or the straight lines. All these circles are parallel to each other and to the equator. So they are equally spaced. These all are equally spaced. So this is how the latitudes move. So from equator, okay, up to 90 degree towards the north pole, and from equator up to 90 degree towards the south pole. So on either northern and southern hemisphere, you will find 0 to 90 degree of the latitudes. So when you write in the exam, when the map is given, so here I have taken pictures of each corner of the topo sheet, of one topo sheet, so that I can show you the longitudes and latitudes. So here you can see the latitudes, they are horizontal lines. So you have to start from this end. So you can see here 15 degrees 45 minutes to 16 degree 0 minutes. So this is how you have to write the latitude of any particular map. So latitude represents what? The horizontal lines, I told you, right? So latitudes are horizontal lines. So at this corner and this corner, the value remains the same because they are, this particular line has the same value. So you can see on either side it is 15 degree 45 minutes, 15 degree 45 minutes, 2, because we are moving from bottom to the top. So here 16 degree 0 minutes. So this is the latitude of this particular map. Similarly, longitudes. So how we will write longitude here? These are the vertical lines. You can see here it is 74 degrees 15 minutes to 74 degree 30 minutes. You can see here 74 degree 15 minutes to 74 degree 30 minutes. Same values you can see here, 74 degree 15 minutes to 74 degree 30 minutes. So these are called as the longitudes, which are the vertical lines. So all these on the map you must write. Okay, so I hope you understood how to write the latitude and longitude of a particular map. So I repeat, longitude you have to start from bottom, that is 15 degree 45 minutes to 16 degrees 0 minutes, and these are the horizontal lines, and longitudes are the vertical lines. So you can start from this end, that is 74 degree 15 minutes to 74 degree 30 minutes. So this is how we write the longitude and latitude of the map. Then next comes the color representation in the map. This I had told you in the first slide where I had shown a topo sheet, right? So various colors you had seen. So yellow color that represents the cultivated area. So green color represents the forest. Blue color represents the water bodies, right? Black color represents the boundaries and the railway lines. Then brown color represents the contour lines or sand dunes. Then red color represents the building and roads. Red or brownish color, dark red color, they represent the building and the roads. So this is how you can just simply judge by looking at the color. So color representation in the map. Okay. Then comes so just example, I have taken a small area of the map wherein you can see different colors. Okay, so this is the red color, okay, which represents the city. You can see here this is a map of a Belgaum area. Okay, so here it is written Belgaum, wherein Belgaum city is shown here. Okay, and you can see with the green color the reserved forest. You can see here written it is reserved forest, and this yellow color rest of the land that shows the cultivated land. Then these all small green dots, they represents the trees. So here white color shows the barren land wherein there is a hill. Okay, then you can see the reservoir or the water body, right, which is shown with a blue color. Then roads are shown with the same red color, and these contour lines, okay, which are shown with the brown color. These all lines are contour lines which are the brown in color. Then drainage pattern, that is this black color lines, okay, they represent the drainage patterns. And here you can see the railway line, okay, with the black color. So all these are the different color representations on the topo sheet. Then next comes the relief or topography of the area. So here relief or topography represents the height of that particular area, that is elevation of the ground. So it is represented by different symbols, like some on some maps they use hill shading with contours. Then on some map it is shown with the contour lines or spot heights, triangular stations, benchmarks. So how it is shown, we'll see here the hill shading will be shown like this on some maps. So hill shading is the wherever there is a steep slopes, then they are shown by the dark shading. The plain land and plateaus, they are non shaded. Okay, and shading shows the inclination or slope of the ground, and in non shaded ground the ground will be almost flat. So here where there is a no shading, you can say the ground is flat. Wherever there is a shading, there is a steep slope, or wherever there is a dark shading, it shows the steep slope. Then contour lines, which are very important on a map. So contour lines are the line which join the all the places which are at the same height above mean sea level. So if you see one line, okay, on the map, throughout its length the height will remain the same. That is the height or elevation above mean sea level, that remains the same throughout this line. So that is the contour line. So they are numbered, they are always numbered, and they are drawn in a black and brown color. So all the contours, they are parallel to each other, and they represent the landscape. Some relief features, namely slopes, valleys, okay, ridges, escarpments, plateaus, they occur frequently on the surface of the earth. So here again from same topo sheet I have taken one picture, okay, wherein you can see the representation of the contour lines. You can see these are the brown color lines, and here you can see they are numbered. Okay, so this number represents the height of that particular line throughout its length is same. So this is how, suppose here it is 800, then throughout the length of this line the height is 800. So that is nothing but the contour. So the spacing of the contour plays also, that also gives you information. So here you can see the spacing is not equal. Okay, here the spacing of the lines is very close, whereas here they are quite farther apart. So here it represents a gentle slope, and if the contour spacing is very close, then it shows the steep slope. So here the steep slope is steep, and here the comparatively slope is steeper, sorry, gentle. So here it is gentle slope, and here the spacing is very closer to each other, that represents the steep slope. Okay, so if you want to go for a tunnel and all, construction of a tunnel, this type of information will help you a lot. Okay, what is the slope of the particular area? Okay, so here again same map I have shown, wherein you can see the different contour lines. Okay, so here the all the brown color lines, they are represented with the contours, right? So these are all the contour lines on the map. Then on some maps the height is shown with the spot height and triangular station or benchmark. So all these again represent the height. So you can find out wherever there is a BM or benchmark is written, or some spot height or triangular stations. For example, here there is a triangular station, there is a symbol of triangle and some value is written, that is 764. So at this point the height is 764. So like this you can find out the spot height. Okay, this is the triangular station. Here you can see the spot height, the value, that is height 795 with the dot is shown. So that is the approximate elevation of that particular area. Okay, here you can see there is a contour line with 800 value, here it is 780, like that the values are shown, here it is 780. So like that the contours are always numbered, and the last is benchmark. You can see here it is written like this, BM, that is benchmark 734.8. So this is how a map, the spot height, triangular station and benchmark represent the height of that particular area. So first one was spot height, triangular station and the benchmark. So whenever a topo sheet is given to you, you can find out the maximum height in the particular area. You can search and find out the where is the maximum elevation in the area and where is the minimum elevation in the area. So this is a map. uh, so you can just observe here, there is a VTU, okay, our own university. So I have taken a that particular area just for a example. So here is our railway station, Belgaum railway line. Okay, then here it is a national highway, that is NH4A, right? And these are the other road network on the map. Then here you can see the settlement. Okay, all these points are shown in detail on the map. So you understood the spot height, triangular station and benchmarks are shown like this on the map, so which you have to identify or just interpret the height. Okay, so this will be given in the index also, that is in the sign convention labeling of that particular map. So there also it will be given, like they have shown here triangle with 200. So this is just an example. Okay, so in your topo sheet what is the maximum benchmark and what is the maximum triangle value, that you have to search and find out. Next comes your settlement pattern, that is the houses and building, how they are located. So there are different patterns based on the uh, different there are 5 types of settlement patterns based on the shape. Okay, so nucleated or clustered means the buildings or the houses are constructed in a compact manner and they are very close to each other. So mostly near the well or the tank or the borewell, etc., wherever there is a availability of water, you will find the nucleated or clustered pattern. Then next comes your scattered or dispersed. So wherever the buildings and houses are scattered or they are isolated very far from each other, like in villages and all. Okay, so if their houses are scattered, you have to write it as scattered settlement pattern. Then at some places you will find lineated or ribboned. Okay, so the buildings or houses, they are constructed along the road, river, canal in a straight line. Okay, so they along the line, then it is called as lineated or ribboned. Then on some map you will find rectangular pattern, buildings or houses are constructed at the crossroads, so they represent the rectangular pattern. Then star shaped pattern, so buildings or houses are constructed around the big water bodies or wherever there is a road network in a star shape, they look like a star shape from top view. So these are few examples. So here you can see the network or the settlement pattern is nucleated or clustered. The houses are very close to each other, they are compact, so that is nucleated settlement pattern. Then here you can see the houses are shown but they are very far from each other. One is here, one is here, and one more is here. So like this they are very far. So you can see here that this represents the scattered settlement pattern. Then I hope you have guessed, so this is along the road, on the either side you can see the boxes, that is houses. So this shows the linear settlement pattern. Okay, in a straight line, linear or ribboned. And this is a rectangular or star shaped pattern, you can see like this along the road. Okay, it looks like star shape, so it is called as star shape settlement pattern. Next comes your drainage pattern. So on a map you have to just see what type of pattern is seen and you have to write. Then next comes your drainage pattern. So dendritic, trellis, radial and parallel drainage pattern. So in dendritic it looks like the drainage pattern is mainly about the streams and its branches. Okay, so what pattern they are making when the small streams they join the main river. So dendritic means there will be a water body and this will be looking like a branches of a tree, then it is called as a dendritic. Then comes your trellis. Trellis or rectangular, so a number of streams and tributaries they join the main river at the right angle. Okay, so here this is a river and they join the small tributaries, they join the river at right angle. It looks like rectangular garden trellis. So this is how the trellis pattern looks. Then radial, you can see wherever there is a hill or a valley, so you will find from all the sides the streams are coming towards the center and they are joining or they are moving concentrating towards a point or they are moving away from a point, so they look like spokes of a wheel, then it is called as a radial drainage pattern. Then next comes the parallel. So whenever the streams and the streamlets they move like this, okay, they are parallel to each other. So if you find such pattern, then you can write the drainage pattern is parallel. So like that, wherever on the map you can see here, I hope you guess what pattern it is, right? So it looks like a branches of a tree. You can see these are the streamlets, okay, and here it shows the dendritic drainage pattern, which looks like a branches of a tree. So here you can see same the dendritic drainage pattern. So here the tributaries, you can see they are joining at a right angle. See here 90° with the stream. So if you find such pattern, okay, it is called as the trellis pattern. So this is how actually this is a rectangular and this is a trellis, wherein with small tributaries they are joining at the right angle, and here main stream also takes right angled bends. So here the pattern is rectangular and here it is trellis, and in this along with the dendritic pattern, if you see towards coast, okay, you can see the tributaries are almost parallel. So like this, here you can see the parallel drainage pattern, wherein the streamlets are moving parallel to each other. So like this you can find different drainage patterns on a map. Here I have zoomed and shown. Here you can see, right? So here the streams are moving or running parallel to each other, right? So this is how you can see a parallel drainage pattern. So this is all about the introduction of the topo sheet. What all the necessary concepts you must know to interpret the topo sheet. So whenever a topo sheet is given in exam, you have to write all these 8 points by seeing the map, okay, seeing the topo sheet. So a topo sheet will be given. So you have to write the introduction, relief or topography, drainage, mode of transport, settlement pattern, climate, vegetation and occupation in that particular area. So we'll see one by one what to write in the exam, how a topo sheet is being interpreted. So first comes the introduction. So introduction includes these 11 points, okay. So all these points will be given here, okay. You just need to write what is that point. Like for example, first point is topo sheet number. You can just write this number, okay. It takes hardly few seconds, D43C5. So this is a number of the topo sheet. So this is the first point. Then name of the area, it will be given here, okay. Name of the area you have to just write Belgaum, okay, because we are mainly concentrating on Belgaum and here Chandgarh and Belgaum, okay. So there are two areas are shown in one map because it has a state border, okay. Then the district and state to which the area of the map belongs to. So as this map shows both the states, okay, so you can write Belgaum Karnataka and Chandigarh Maharashtra, right? Then extent of the map, that is longitude and latitude. I have told you how to write the longitude and latitude of the map by seeing here, right? So horizontal lines are latitudes. You have to start from bottom, that is 15°. Suppose a 30 minutes to 16° 0 minutes. So like this you have to write the latitude, and for longitudes you have to see the vertical lines, okay. So vertical lines show here 74°, 30 minutes to 74° or 75°, like that 0 minutes. So like this you have to write the latitude and longitude of the map. Then interval of parallel and meridian. What is the interval of parallel and meridian? You have to write here. So here interval is shown here. You have to just find out what is the difference between these two, okay, between the grids, okay. So that represents the interval of parallel and meridian, whatever, 2 minutes 30 seconds, whatever is the difference between the grids, you will find it, that you have to write here. Then next comes the extent of longitude and latitude, that is extent of the map, that is lat and long. So it is how many grids it contains, 1 2 3 4 5 6, okay. So 6 grids, and here also 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. So there are 6 by 6 grid is given here. So here that you have to write here in the extent of the longitude and latitude as 6 by 6, okay. So this is the extent of the map. Then contour interval, either you can find out the difference between the two contours at any place on the map, or here it will be given, okay. So here it will be written straight clearly that contour interval is 20 meter or 30 meter, whatever may be the contour interval, that will be written here. You have to just see and write the contour interval. Then total area of the given topo sheet, you have to calculate the total area. So it is very easy. The formula for area is length into breadth. So how you will calculate the total area of that, of this map? So first you have to calculate the length. So you, with the help of a scale, you can just measure the distance of any one grid, okay. So suppose this comes 8.5 centimeters, okay, on the scale. And like this, how many grids are there? 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. So 8.5 into 6 you have to do. Then then next is uh, here this is length, okay, and breadth also same way you have to calculate. Suppose this is 7, this distance is 7.3, okay, the vertical distance. So this distance, if it is suppose 7.3, you have to do into 6, 7.6 into 7.3 into 6. So that is, you will get the answer, that is L into B, divided by 2 you have to do, because here the scale given, okay, is 2. So here you have to divide it by 2, okay, 2 meters, okay. So here total area you will get it as L into B, that is some value you will get, that will be in kilometer square. Then next is your year of publication. So year of publication will be clearly mentioned here, okay. When it is surveyed, that is year of survey also it will be given, okay, like 2011. Then survey year, in which year survey was done, that is 2005 or 2006. So like that here information will be given, you have to just write it. Then magnetic variation from true north is also given here. It will be represented here, that is 2 degree west in 2005, like that the magnetic variation is given. So that you have to write. So it takes hardly few minutes, okay, to complete this introduction part. You have to just write, see and write, that is nothing but the, we are interpreting the topo sheet. Next comes the relief or topography. So this is a physical feature which includes their plains, valleys, okay, plateaus, hills, with respect to the direction in the map. So the physical features can be interpreted based on the spacing of the contour lines, then whether they are closely spaced or widely spaced, as I shown you in the previous slide, okay. Then the highest or the height can be known from the benchmark, okay, or the triangular station or the spot height, etc. So on a map you have to just search what is the maximum height, okay. So this is a physical feature which includes the your plains and valleys. So maximum elevation you have to write in the map, okay. And there are hills, okay, and maximum area is flat or plain, like that you can write the interpretation regarding the relief of the map. So like this, relief or topography you can show. The benchmark is so much, okay, the triangular, the maximum height where it is you have to find out on the map and you have to show it, okay. Maximum elevation is so and so, and it is towards west or east or north, south, whatever with respect to direction you can show the elevation, okay. So that is the relief or topography. Then next comes your drainage. So drainage includes your name of the river or the stream, okay. Then the flow direction will be shown, then height of the bank, okay, breadth. So if this information is given you have to write, otherwise you can skip this. Then river is seasonal or perennial, that also you will come to know, okay. So if seasonal means only during rainy season it will flow, okay, then it will be shown with the white color. And if it is perennial throughout the year, if some water will be there, then it will be shown with the blue color. Then what type of drainage pattern it shows, whether it is dendritic, rectangular, trellis, radial, all these you can mention here. Then rock type also you will come to know by seeing the drainage pattern. So variation in the breadth of the river, if it is clearly visible you can tell. Then name of the river and tributaries which are joining the river you can show. So for example, here you can see there is a river, right. So here this river, here in this part it will flow only it is seasonal, right. And the direction is also given here with the arrow, okay, of this branch or this tributary of the river. So the name of the river is shown here, you can see Malaprabha river, okay. And it is meandering, that is it is flowing in a zigzag fashion. So this is called as the meandering of the river, okay. So then there will be many nalas or hallas which are joining the river. So here you can see in a map, okay, the main river is Malaprabha river, okay. Then you can tell there are many nalas, like the names will be given, okay. So that name you can write here, that is uh, Huvin Halla, okay, which is joining the Malaprabha river, okay. Then there will be some other names also you will find on the map which are joining the main stream, okay, main river. So that you can write and you can complete this drainage. So there are two main rivers you can write, like for example in one map there are two rivers which are Tamraparni and Markandeya river, which are on the map, okay. That is one river is in Markandeya river is in Belgaum and Tamraparni river is in Maharashtra. So these rivers they are flowing from west to east, okay, and many streams and tributaries are joining the main river. Then what is the drainage pattern, can you identify here, right. So it is like a branches of a tree, you can see here, these are all represent the drainage pattern, these lines. So here you can see it is like this, okay. So this is like a branches of a tree, so this represents the dendritic drainage pattern. So based on this, then you can mention also there are different dams and canals, okay, for irrigation purpose, right. So this all information you can extract from the drainage, so you can write it. Then next comes the settlement pattern. So in a map what type of settlement pattern is shown, that you have to write. The settlement pattern is based on the it will give you information regarding the area is urban or rural, right. So like this, if you find a clustered pattern, then you can write it is this is a urban area, right. And if there are villages, okay, then you can write scattered drainage pattern, then you can write the area is rural. So settlement pattern is nucleated also, and here on the same map you will find the scattered all over the area. So this represents the area is both urban and rural, okay, you can write like this. Then next is mode of transport. So number of metalled, unmetalled roads, car tracks, railway lines connecting one place to other place, so that you can write here. So here I have taken a map of Khanapur. Okay, so here there is a river. Okay, now we are concentrating on mode of transport. So you can see here there is a national highway, that is NH4A, right, which is connecting, okay, two places. You can write the place names also. So there is one national highway on a map, you can write, or if there are two national highways also, you can write NH4 and NH4A, right. Then there are many metalled and unmetalled road. So these are metalled and unmetalled roads. Okay, you can see here the symbols will be given in the map itself. You can just follow that, okay, and write the uh, what type of mode of transport is being used. So this represents what? This is a railway line. Okay, this represents the railway line which is connecting from Belgavi or Belgaum to Londa, like that you can write. Okay, so this is all about the mode of transport. So you can write there is one national highway or two national highways, there are metalled and unmetalled roads, there is a railway line which is connecting from one place to other place. You can write the place name. So this is you have to write in mode of transport. Then next, by studying all these, you can write the occupation of the people, what the people in the area might be doing. So this depends upon many factors, like uh, this depends upon settlement pattern and mode of transport mainly. So if the map is yellow colored, right, yellow color represents what? Cultivated land, I told you, right. So the yellow color represents cultivated land. So if there is a cultivated land, the occupation of the people will be obviously agriculture. Okay, so in some areas where there is where there is irrigation available, right, from either wells or tanks, so agriculture is very intensive because of the availability of water. So if there is forest, okay, which is shown with the green color, so some people may be engaged in burning of the wood for making coal, okay, and collection of forest products like honey, wood, okay, all these. Then if in some areas there will be mines, so mining area, so the occupation of the people will be involved in the mining. And if there is a industrial belt, okay, the people will be industrial workers. So in a map, what type of settlement pattern and mode of transport is available, based on that you have to write the occupation of the people. So suppose if you have taken a map of Khanapur, Belgaum area, then Khanapur map, if you take, the occupation of the people is agriculture. If you take a map of Belgaum, here we find both agriculture as well as the industrial workers. So the occupation of the people is agriculture and industrial workers. Then the last point is climate. So climate, you can decide by seeing the pattern of these trees. Okay, so the climate is tropical, subtropical, whether it is dry, moist. Okay, so this, if the trees are coniferous, like this cone like coniferous trees, that suggest there is a cool climate, like in Himalayas and cold countries we find, right, like Christmas trees. So they represent the cold climate. If the trees are shown like this, okay, then it is a deciduous vegetation, which indicates the tropical to subtropical climate. So if you take a map of Belgaum, you will find such type of trees, you will not find the coniferous trees. So in Belgaum, what is the climate? That is tropical to subtropical climate, that is dry and moist. Then if there are some cactus and shrubs, dunes, okay, then absence of streams, then obviously it represents the dry area, okay, or semi dry climatic conditions. Then If there is a forest, bamboo or tea gardens, betel palm, okay, that suggest moderate to heavy rainfall. So in a map, whatever is suitable, yeah, that you have to write as a interpretation. So climate is either tropical to subtropical, and the forests, they show the moderate to heavy rainfall. Okay, so like this you can represent the, or you can interpret the topo sheet. So thank you.